4chan or 8chan.
Well, that was another aspect that I thought was odd, is that how people in other countries, like the guy from South Africa, are so into American politics.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to try to get their perspective. Like, I would imagine that it's just very different being there and looking at us. I think America is such a bizarre anomaly.
But America has so much influence over world policy. If you want to influence world policy,
but it's so, I mean, it is really unusual that we barely know who the fuck the Prime Minister of Canada is. You know, right? We know very little about Canadian politics. We know Trudeau, right? Handsome guy, seen him on TV, loves Canadian table. That's what we know. You know, I mean, we really don't know anything about all the other people. We knew about that guy. What was his name? The one who's the mayor of Toronto, who's out of Ford. Remember that guy?
I do remember him.
He was crazy.
Yeah, it just requires a big splashy story.
Yeah, so you gotta be in the
blackface or
tabloids.
something.
Yeah, something big has to happen. But that kind of stuff.
Oh, I mean,
yeah,
living and breathing. Huge conspiracy theorist too, and he's also like a prime suspect originally.
Really? Interesting.
And I don't say it in the series because I couldn't prove it definitively, and I didn't want to. It is possible that there are sort of two other theories who may have started it, but he's the.
Well, he was so adamant that the second Q wasn't Q, and I was like, how does he know that? Why does he think that? Why is he so convinced? If he doesn't have access to some data points, if he doesn't have access to whatever it is, like the location or something, the ISP, what the IP address rather, what's his reason for saying definitively to Ron Watkins, you know that's not Q? What was that?
How does he know?
Right.
How is he so sure?
Right.
Just based on a couple of posts, style, that suddenly Q is posting from a static IP as opposed to a dynamic changing IP.
Mm-hmm.
How could he be so sure just based on that? I mean, there's a lot of reasons to think that Paul would have been running it up until that point, and there's a lot of reasons to think why Code Monkey / Ron Watkins would have taken from him at that point. I mean, he was posing a real threat to the quote-unquote operation. He had just appeared on Alex Jones. This is late December 2017. Q's been actively posting for about 2 months.
Who had just appeared on Alex Jones? Ron?
So Ron did not appear in the first recorded interview that I know of that he gave was within, a year and a half or so. This is when Q kind of gets his first. I consider Alex Jones to almost be mainstream. He has a big enough audience, right? It brings it out to a new, bigger audience. It escapes the chains throughout. And this happens in late December.
So
Coleman Rogers and Paul Ferber both returned.
This is when Alex Jones is not banned for social media. So
he's still got a bigger reach at this point. Jerome Corsi, who had been talking about dewdrops, a famed conspiracy theorist, largely responsible for the further movement thing like Obama, Swift Boat, John Kerry. He's been doing this political operative stuff for years. He brings it to Alex Jones, and Alex Jones brings these two guys on the show, late December. Paul Ferber and Coleman Rogers. Coleman Rogers would go on to start a 24-hour news channel devoted to Q. Paul Ferber, was running the board that Q was posting.
Which is very suspicious.
Very suspicious. For some reason, Q leaves 4chan in late November 2017 and jumps over to chooses Paul Ferber's board on his channel. For some reason, what? There were many. Why didn't Q put his own board? Why didn't Q? Why that one?
And was he on Paul Ferber's board on 4chan? Did Paul Ferber have a board on?
No. So Q was largely posting. So they didn't have control. There was not.
Polls of politics.
Yeah, it's like in political. And that's where you usually poll on 4chan or 8chan the most racy kind of anti-Semitic stuff. If you're going to see that, it's there, and you can never really tell when you're on that board if people are being ironic, post-ironic, shit posting.
Right.
You can't really tell. But anyway, that's the board. When the chants get reported on, you so Q was posting there, and people on 4chan were like, stop.
What is the first post?
They didn't like Q.
They thought it was bullshit?
They thought it was bullshit, yeah. And in fact, actually, I brought a chart, but you can actually see that Q was, the amount of times that people were calling Q a LARP on 4chan was increasing, almost exponentially at the very end, up until Q decides, I'm out. You can see, and then right at the end there, that's when Q jumps ship. It goes. Now, they would also say that Q had been banned on 4chan, and that also motivated the leak, but I do think that it's interesting that...
was it banned on 4chan?
So, my understanding is that the trip code itself, like, Q is no longer in the post. I think he's...
The trip code is playing now?
So it's just a cryptographic function that allows someone to type in a password, simple password, 8 characters long, and it will produce a code, and that's called a trip code. And this is a way of anonymous or pseudo-anonymously kind of identifying this. So if I have the password, type it in, boop, 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 it's going to produce a code, and that code will appear on every post. The password. So this is how people do it. And in fact, the first 127 posts didn't have a trip code. So there was no way to even know who Q was, right? In fact, the Anons had to go back and review all the old posts just to see, like, okay, which ones were Q, which ones weren't. So, like, the first 127 posts, like, anybody could have been coming in, like, LARPing as Q, kind of jumping in, trying to write in the style. And the idea of Q hadn't even been established. Q itself, any asshole on it. Yeah, you could have done it. Anybody could have done it. Paul Ferber could have been there doing it sometimes. Someone else could jump in, you know, kind of put on the hat. And lots of people were trying to do that.
So, like, when you post there, you don't have, like, a screen name?
No, there's no login. So anybody can post without having to log in. That's what makes chance really unique. There's also no algorithm. But it's if you're using a VPN, which 4chan makes that very different. 8chan, or if you go there and you